usually say, still today Kasoma Farouk of Uganda is putting a caveat on Cold War politics. Cold War what? Politics. We need to understand the key issues concerning about Cold War politics. So we are like saying today, Cold War politics. Cold War what? Politics. It was an ideological conflict between USA and USSR, where we are saying USA was promoting capitalism, USSR was promoting communism. So we are saying Cold War was an ideological confrontation between the capitalist states, especially United States of America, USA, and the communist nation led by Russia, or Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. It was called war because there was no actual fighting between these nations. So we are saying countries were fighting over supremacy. It is said USA and its allies were like convincing the world that capitalism was stronger than communism. USSR was convincing that communism is stronger than capitalism, and this led to Cold War politics. Yeah, it wasn't actual fighting, but it was a war of what? Words. Convincing the world that we are stronger more than the other. It is said the more followers a country had, the more superiority that country was supposed to be. Now, in our hard discussion, we are saying among the causes of Cold War politics, we are saying the rise of uncompromising and hardline political leaders. It is said by this time American president, for example, Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1933-45, Harry Truman, 1945-53. Then you talk about Joseph Stalin of USSR, 1920-1953. It is said the rise of uncompromising leaders led to Cold War politics. What was all about this? These were uncompromising leaders. For example, Truman of USA was convincing the world that capitalism is stronger than communism. And by this time, Stalin of USSR was convincing that communism is stronger than capitalism. So the rise of uncompromising leaders, leaders who are not willing to listen, led to Cold War politics. Because every country was convincing the other that capitalism is stronger than what? Communism. Then the communists were doing the same thing, and this led to Cold War what? Politics. The more followers a country had, the more supremacy that country was supposed to be. Then the success, let me first explain, you are going to ask it. The success of the communist revolution in Russia in 1917. It is said the Russian revolution of 1917 led to the rise of a man called Lenin and later Stalin. So it is said the leaders who came to power after the real collapse of Nicholas the second. Of course, there was a provisional government, but we are talking about when Nicholas collapsed. Later, there was the rise of Lenin and Stalin. When the Russian Revolution succeeded, the new leaders who took political power, Lenin and Stalin, were believing in communism. So their agenda was not only to control only Russia or USSR, but they wanted to control the whole of Europe and possibly the whole world. So it is said the Russian Revolution of 1917 led to the rise of communism in Russia, and this made USA to promote its what? Capitalism. And this led to Cold War what? Politics. Because the new leaders who took political power in Russia had a different political ideology. That was communism. This led to Cold War politics. Then the ideological differences between the capital USA and its allies and the communist Russia. It is C. USA had differences in ideology against which country? USSR. Even USSR had communism in its belief. So it is C. The ideological differences between the capitalists and the communists led to Cold War politics, conflicts over supremacy. The differences in ideology, where USA was believing in capitalism, USSR was believing in what? Communism. This led to Cold War politics, conflicts over supremacy. It is said every country wanted to be number one. Moreover, the number one is one. Maybe they had to cut it into two. So the differences in ideology led to Cold War politics, because the more followers the country had, the more supremacy that country was supposed to be. Then the Berlin blockade of June 1948, the division of Germany into the division of Germany. We are saying as Germany was divided into two. By the way, later, that's why we are connecting the Berlin blockade. When Germany was divided into two, a Berlin Wall was put up to divide East Germany from West Germany. East Germany was believing in communism. West Germany was believing in capitalism. As the Berlin Wall was put up, people from East Germany were not supposed to enter West Germany. And those from West Germany were not supposed to enter East Germany. And this led to Cold War politics. Because by this time, USA was convincing the Germans that capitalism is better than communism. Even USSR was convincing the Germans that communism is better than what? Capitalism. I can tell you, as Germany was divided into two, a Berlin Wall was put up to divide East Germany from West Germany. And this led to Cold War politics. By the way, there's what you call German reunification. Because after the defeat of USSR and Cold War politics, there was what you call German reunification. Germany was reunified again. And today Germany is what? Is one. So they had to reunify it anyway. Another one, we are saying the influence of Winston Churchill's Iron Curtain speech. In March 1946, we are saying today, Winston Churchill gave a speech which wasn't a speech. A man was warning people that if they don't rise up today, communism was going to eat up the whole world. The whole world. So when Winston Churchill gave a speech and warned the capitalist countries that if they don't rise up, communism was going to eat up the whole world. The whole world. This made the capitalist states to use all resources available to spread what? Capitalism. I can tell you, that's why there was a man called General Marshall introduced what he called the Marshall-Aid Plan. This was a plan where General Marshall was willing to give countries money in form of aid on condition you move from communism to what? To capitalism. As they say, money speaks the language nations understand. When countries were given money, they moved from communism to what? To capitalism. That's why even USSR started its theory in this kind of arrangement to influence countries move from capitalism to what? To communism. I can tell you, struggle for supremacy. Struggle for what? Supremacy. Another key aspect in this kind of arrangement, the development, the contribution of arms development. It is seen in a bid to control Europe and the whole world. In this kind of arrangement, it is seen the capitalists had to produce many military equipment. Even USSR had it produced many military what? Equipment. And this led to Cold War politics. How? Because by this time, as they produced so many military equipment, the capitalists were convincing the world that the capitalist countries have more military equipment than the what? The communists. Even the communists were convincing that the communists have more military equipment than the what? Than the capitalists. And this led to Cold War politics, struggling for supremacy. It is said the more followers the country had, the more supremacy that country was supposed to be. In this kind of arrangement, they were struggling for supremacy. Then the disagreements at Yalta Conference in February 1945. What happened at Yalta? USA and USSR met with other countries. The issue was to harmonize their differences. They wanted to stop the issue of capitalism and what? Communism, but they disagreed. USA was going ahead to promote capitalism. Even USSR was going ahead to promote what? Communism. So the disagreement at Yalta led to Cold War politics. As the big nations disagree over the future of the world, this led to Cold War politics. Because one of the reasons why they had to sit at Yalta was to stop their differences. But they continued altogether. And this led to Cold War politics. Another key aspect, the influence of the expansionist Russian policy. It is said when Stalin took political power, Stalin had what we call expansionist what? Policy. His mission was not only to control only Russia, but he wanted to control the whole of Europe and prosper the whole world. This could not be accepted by USA under big names like Truman. That's why Truman had to use all the resources available to spread what? Capitalism. Because Stalin had what you call expansionist what? Policy. By the way, Stalin was never contented in his mind. It is the characteristics of most politicians. They are never what? At a time, even when they have everything, they want more. So it is this that led to Cold War politics. Then the influence of mass media and press propaganda. The influence of mass media and press what? Propaganda. It is said the capitalists use their agencies like CNN, VOA, Voice of America, to spread what? Capitalism. And also USSR had to use its media to spread its what? Communism. And this led to Cold War politics. So we are saying the press propaganda where USA used the CNN, Voice of America, to influence the world that capitalism is stronger than what? Communism. Even the communists did the same. And this led to Cold War politics. It is said fighting over supremacy. Then, the desire and determination of the different states to protect their economic and strategic interests. It is said USA wanted to protect its strategic interests, even USSR, because the more followers you had, by this time, the more influence in terms of controlling resources. For example, if countries were believing in you, you had the influence to go in that particular country and get resources in form of oil and other one resources. So the desire to protect their strategic interests led to Cold War politics. That's why America had to convince the world that capitalism is better than what? Communism. USSR had to convince the world that communism is better than what? Capitalism. In a bid to protect their economic what? Interests. I can tell you they had a mission. then the espionage system. It is seen in a bid to control the world. USA had the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations. USA had the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. USSR had the KGB, that is Criminal General Bureau. It is said they were using the spy networks to promote their what? Influence. By this time, they were convincing the world that the spy networks of USA are better than those of USSR. Even USSR was doing the same. And by this time, the USA's FBI was spying on USSR. And this led to Cold War politics, because even USSR had to do the same. I can tell you they were fighting over supremacy. Over what? Supremacy. Then the influence of men on sport. For example, Kenan, an American ambassador in Moscow. Kenan, an American ambassador in Moscow, was telling the Americans that USSR has a greater agenda of controlling the whole world altogether. When Kenan told USA, this made USA to use all the resources available to fight against the what? The communists, because Kenan was a very influential ambassador. When he told USA, USA had to use resources to fight the communists. And of course, this led to Cold War politics. Then the influence of Zhdanov doctrine, which emphasized that the world was divided into two irreconcilable camps. It is said great men like Zhdanov wrote and said the world was divided into two and it was irreconcilable. No country was supposed to reconcile with the what? With the other. By this time, it is said this man, Zhdanov, was like preaching that the two camps are irreconcilable. This doctrine made the capitalists to go ahead and influence countries to believe in what? Capitalism. Even the communists to influence countries to believe in what? Communism. Because their differences were irreconcilable. No one was supposed to reconcile the two what? The two countries. Another one, the disagreements between the superpowers over the future of Poland. It is seen countries disagree over the future of what? Poland. Let me tell you, Russia was on the side of Britain and France and USA in a World War what? World War II. So after World War II, Poland, which at one time had the influence of Germany, was given like full control over itself. Now problems arose. USSR wanted Poland to adopt communism. USA wanted Poland to adopt what? Capitalism. And this led to Cold War politics. Because USA was going ahead to convince the people of Poland that capitalism is better than what? Communism. Even USSR was convincing the people of Poland that communism is better than what? Capitalism. And this led to Cold War politics. Then the failure of United Nations organization. We are saying today, UNO was formed in 1945 with the major aim of promoting peace. And by this time, it was the responsibility of UNO to stop the rise of Cold War politics. But because it was very weak, it didn't have enough resources to sustain itself. That's why US went ahead to promote capitalism and USSR to promote what? Communism. Because by this time they knew that UNO was very weak and was going to do nothing. And this led to Cold War politics. So friends, we need to understand the key aspects that led to Cold War politics. In this kind of arrangement, rise up, you must understand. By the way, because of Cold War politics, in a bid to promote their interests, the capitalists came up with what they call the usually